Hi, I'm Natalie.
And I'm Avery. Together,
we are Nat Ave.
this is our story of how we turned a dream of a life of adventure.
Into a full-time lifestyle.
Now we have an amazing opportunity ahead of us. It's going to be a lot of work. We're excited to share it with you at the end of this video.
So if you like nomadic stories,
Van life,
campgrounds,
traveling,
RV living,
marketing,
off-grid living,
dogs,
how-to videos,
and videos of people failing at things they've never done,
hit that subscribe button and follow along.
Our story starts about 5 years ago. At the time I owned a company. I didn't work very much, so I was working part-time at REI and doing photography and videography to help fill the time. And one of my co-workers at REI, her name was Emma, she came to me one day and said, "Hey, my roommate's struggling with some food photography. Would you help her?" And I, of course, said yes.
Yeah, I had just gotten a food photography client and I could not for the life of me figure out how to make food look good. So I needed all the help I could get.
Emma told me to come over that Sunday evening, and when the time came, I was prepared.
He not only brought a bottle of wine, but also a box of wine, lols.
But when I showed up, Nat was less than thrilled about it.
I had a hair mask in. It was my Sunday night, so I was relaxing and just not in the mood, but then I was kind of annoyed at Emma for actually going through with the invitation, but there he was. I didn't even get up off the couch to say hello. We started dating 2 weeks after meeting each other, and in this time, Avery had shared his longtime desire to do van life or have a built-out adventure van.
And about 3 months later, I said, "Hey, you wanna buy a van? Do van life with me? Go on crazy adventures all over the country? Sleep in a van? Maybe even live in it one day?"
I said, no, I barely know you, we just started dating. But then a couple months went by and I was like, ooh, this man is something special. So we hit the van buying market hard.
It took almost 3 whole months for us to find one. Every day we would look at all these listings. The listings would be up for less than 24 hours, and we'd call them and they were like, "Nope, sorry, sold already."
It was crazy times. We finally found one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we had to jump on it so fast. So we flew right there the next day and we picked him up and drove it back to St. Louis, which was our first road trip. We were so young. We call him Dwight because of his short nose. If you ever seen The Office, Dwight has a small nose, so it's perfect.
Natalie was working a full-time corporate job for a startup plant-based food company, and neither of us had any woodworking or hands-on building experience, so I spent a literal ton of time on YouTube soaking up all the information I could, and we got to work. Lots of trips to Home Depot, most days multiple trips in the same day. Doing one small project at a time, and we started with the most important item for Natalie, and that was a toilet.
When we had the floor, toilet, and the bed frame up, we took a tiny little test run about 30 miles away, and it was freaking awesome.
And then we did all of the electrical with full solar, and added storage and cabinets and all that good stuff, and started hitting the road.
My parents still lived in Orange County, California, so it was one of our first long trips, and we showed up completely unannounced. It was also the first time that Avery met them.
This is the first trip that made us fall absolutely in love with van life. The fresh air, the freedom, the tiny, tiny space in which we got to co-occupy with each other. The world was our oyster.
We loved it so much that we sold all of our belongings, sold Avery's house and successful business, and then we hit the road full time with our dogs, Rax and Zoe.
Over the next 2 years, we traveled about 65,000 miles all over the United States, from the Gulf Shores in Alabama to California, up the West Coast, over to the East Coast, across Michigan, and everywhere in between. Life on the road was incredible, but it definitely wasn't always easy.
We'll save those wild stories for another video, but one thing we realized during all that travel was that constant movement made me feel a little lost. It's hard to find new media clients when you're always moving.
When I was talking to my mom about this stuff, she mentioned something called work camping, where you work at campgrounds for a short period of time for a place to park or stay, and then sometimes they also pay you a small hourly wage.
We thought it was a great idea, so we applied to Pinnacles National Park, and 2 days later, we had a job. It was awesome!
3 months later, when our contract ended, we had already found another beautiful campground to go to in the hill countries of Texas. And this was the campground that we realized that we really enjoy campgrounds and RV parks. And we kind of wanted to be a little bit more than low-level work campers. We wanted to help in the operation of them.
With our extensive previous experience, we were able to make great impacts on multiple campgrounds as we assisted owners in opening new campgrounds or making their already operational parks more profitable as managers. Overall, we worked in California, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and now back in Texas to help open a brand new KOA, and we moved into a massive RV.
Now, we probably should have mentioned a little bit earlier in this story that opening an animal sanctuary is also something that we both really wanted to do. Something that's very important to us as well. And somewhere along the lines of our travels and working at RV parks, we realized that if we had an RV park of our own, that maybe had a few extra acres to develop, that we could open an animal sanctuary. And that animal sanctuary could not only act as a tourist draw for the RV park, but that the funds from the RV park could fund the animal sanctuary. So it was something that immediately kind of gave us this epiphany idea, and it's been on our minds ever since.
So over the last year, we seriously looked for a campground of our own, and we're so excited to announce that we finally found one. And it's so perfect. We're so excited. It's not exactly what we were looking for, because when we were looking at higher budgeted properties, you have to put a higher down payment. We just simply didn't have that. So we looked a little lower, and it's perfect. We love the location. It's in Spruce, Michigan. We're just so excited. So come with us on this adventure of making a long neglected little campground into something really nice and cute, and something that will open up many possibilities for us in the future.
We'll have a ton of work to do. Some projects might be successful and some might fail, but that's okay because we're going to learn a lot along the way. And maybe if you guys follow along, you can learn something too.
We're stoked to share all of our knowledge that we've gained from our experience in the campground world and also our previous corporate and business owner lives. So hit that subscribe button and join us as we take this next big step. See you around the campground.